Stoicism is a particular Hellenistic school and doctrine of philosophy popular among Greco-Roman culture that emphasizes virtue, fate, reason, and self-restraint. The doctrine of philosophy was so popular that many of its values and proverbs are still in use and remembered today. The fundamentals of Stoicism revolve around the basic teachings of Greek philosopher Epictetus. Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control and others are not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever our own actions are." Epictetus then says that if you let things beyond your control affect you, then that will lead to anger. In Stoicism, anger is considered to be almost the opposite of virtue. When you are angry, you think irrationally. Another fundamental of Stoicism is keeping your ego in check. This demonstrates self-restraint and leads down the path to virtue. This was especially true for the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who we'll talk about later. The doctrine of Stoicism was founded by Zeno of Citium in Athens in circa 300 BC. He was inspired by Cynic philosophers such as Diogenes of Sinope, but added key changes to the philosophy, such as the neutrality of certain materialistic items, such as money or fame, because they can have a good or bad impact on the world, and therefore can lead to virtue. Seneca the Younger is one of the most notable Stoic philosophers of all time. He was a prominent writer during the Silver Age of Latin literature, and would even tutor the Roman Emperor Nero, and had a huge influence over the emperor's early life, but soon lost it as Nero got older and more mad. One of the most prominent philosophers of Stoicism was the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He was one of the more interesting Stoic philosophers for two reasons. One, he demonstrated Plato and Socrates' ideas of kings and emperors being philosophers instead of having ancestral lineage to the last king. Two, since he held the highest social and political position in Roman society, it is interesting to see how he upheld the Stoic fundamentals of self-restraint and keeping your ego in check. Marcus Aurelius was highly influenced by Epictetus and would quote him often. Marcus Aurelius would later go on to write probably the most valued and important Stoic work, Meditations, which features many Stoic principles and how to be rational and reach virtue. There is usually common confusion among the following philosophies: Cynicism, Stoicism, and Epicureanism. Cynicism is a philosophy that believes to achieve virtue, one must rid their lives of materialistic wants and possessions. Stoicism is very similar, in that they believe to achieve virtue, we must be rational and reasonable in every situation, while demonstrating self-restraint, but they believe materialistic items have a neutral quality to them, where they can be used for good or bad. Epicureanism believes that to obtain virtue, one must avoid pain and achieve necessary pleasure. In brief, Stoic thoughts allow for the achievement of virtue and happiness, and the demonstration of self-restraint by being reasonable and rational in a given situation. In essence, it is the true form of wisdom.